What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Jason Rose here once again for the Rose Experience to bend your ear and chew the fat with you a bit. I know by the time you watch this, the Raptors game will be over, but I wanted to say good luck in Game 7, guys. Go Raps. So I've had this little game called Child of Light for a little bit over a week now, and I finished it. I just wanted to share some thoughts and impressions with you fine folk. In a nutshell, I hated it. Just joking, of course. I love Child of Light, and what's not to love? It's great to see a huge developer like Ubisoft move away from its tried and true and try something a little bit outside of the norm. There's so much that immediately sticks out here, from the fantastic soundtrack and setting, an in-depth turn-based combat that's easy to pick up, along with adding nuances along the way to keep it fresh. The way the characters speak and rhyme, tons of recruitable party members, ever-expanding skill trees, crafting items, and it's an RPG. Which is the genre that basically got me into this whole thing called video games in the first place. But what I wanted to talk to you about, and what seems to have caught everyone's attention, is the beautiful art style that Child of Light adopts. I'm a sucker for art like this in video games, and although it's not entirely unique anymore, I always get the feeling that I'm in for something special due to this specific design choice. It really gets me right here in the feels, and as far as I know, it's the only RPG to adopt this style. Developed by the team in Montreal and created with the UbiArt frameworks responsible for entertaining and gorgeous platforms Rayman Origins and Rayman Legends. Child of Light has garnered almost universal acclaim across the board for its visuals, and although visuals never make a game, it's awesome that there's a ton of stuff to back it all up. But this isn't a review, and since the graphics employed here seem to be a huge talking point right now, I want to share with you all a couple recommendations that have this graphical art style in common. Okami. Okami stars the wolf Amaterasu, otherwise known as the God of Sun. Released in 2006 for the PlayStation 2 by sadly defunct Clover Studios, Okami went on to garner tons of the Game of the Year awards, despite its puzzling lack of commercial success. It's crazy to think a game that looks this good and plays along the same lines as a Zelda entry will be passed over by the public, but it was. Recently, this gem has been given the HD treatment and re-released for a new generation of fans to enjoy, and hopefully this gives it the acclaim it so rightly deserves. Not only did Okami popularize the Japanese-style watercolor art in games, it went beyond spectacle, making its visuals literally a part of the gameplay. If you never picked up Okami in the past, hopefully this puts you on the path to gaming enlightenment and trying one of my favorite games of all time. El Shaddai: Ascension of the Metatron. El Shaddai is a PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 release back in 2011. This game places you in a role of Enoch and loosely depicts the events taking place in the Book of Enoch. Don't worry, all the biblical understanding isn't really needed here either way. This divisive action platformer takes a highly stylized approach, employing both modern and ancient flair with its art. Reviews were kinda all over the map with El Shaddai, placing it heavily in a love it or hate it niche within the annals of gaming history. Ironically, the creative design here was led by Takayasu Sawaki, sorry for the pronunciation, who unsurprisingly was a core member of the team behind Okami. Well, if you find Child of Light's visuals appealing, hopefully you take these recommendations and they push you to try something you never have before. And if you have played these two games, go ahead and try them again. You owe it to yourself. This has been the Rose Experience. Go Raptors! Woo!